Warning: Me Time and Murder is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Oh, for God's sake, here
Dancing
it goes.
around him, reciting poetry. Yes.
Oh my God! That's crazy.
No. Why? Oh, well, big surprise.
Oh God. Dead on the bathroom floor.
Did it? Okay. Oh. Mariam, what are you drinking today?
Today I am drinking my favourite Marks and Spencer's strawberry tea. Hot this time, no ice.
I like berry tea hot sometimes.
No, me too, I do.
I do like it. I know some people don't.
Mm-hmm. What about you? What are you drinking, Therese?
I am drinking a Barry's decaf with milk, and it's lovely. It's a nice tea to have for breakfast.
Nice.
And what about your me time? Are you doing anything today?
Well, I thought I'd tell you that I recently invested in Olaplex.
Oh, you got it!
Yeah.
Which one did you get?
So I got them. I got 2 from Sephora, and I've got 3 are coming from ASOS. Because there was a 25% discount on ASOS, so I was just ordered as much as I could. Like, it's such a good bargain.
Yeah.
So I ordered all that I could, and then this one, the number 6 Bond Smoother, and the oil was not on ASOS, so it's all sold out, I think. So I went to Sephora and I was just like, I'll just complete the collection.
Oh, nice! So now you've got everything.
Well, no, I haven't got the ASOS one. Hasn't came yet, but I've just been using.
But you will have everything.
I will, yeah. I've decided just to invest in it.
And then I noticed that it's like, is it the number 1 and the number 2 have to be done in salons or something like that?
I don't think there is a number 1 and number 2.
They're in salons.
Oh.
Yeah. I looked it up. Yeah.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
That's how they get you. It's a model, because we were actually working on a hair care brand, and they were trying to replicate that sort of model where it's like you kind of, it is, you're like, oh my God, I really want number 1 and number 2. So then you have to do the in-salon treatment and stuff.
Oh.
You don't have to. I don't think you have to.
What?
But
hang on.
Yeah.
Olaplex.
I don't know how expensive it is.
like the ones I got were so expensive.
Yeah, I mean the in-salon's going to be expensive. I just at a guess.
No, is it like their own salon, or it's like?
See, I think it just maybe each like salon like buys it in and then gets trained up or something like that on how to do it. I'd say that's what it is. Like, you just go into a hairdresser's and ask, "Do you do Olaplex?" and they'll say yes or no.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about hairdressers, but that would be my gut.
Here it is. Here. Oh. In salon Olaplex system. Oh, it's sort of, they add number 1 and number 2 to like bleach and hair colouring.
Ah, yes, that's right.
Go.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like a whole system.
Yeah, it's pretty complex. Olaplex.
Oh, it's vegan. Who'd have thought?
Is it?
Anyway, yeah. What about your me time?
I actually wanted to talk about hair as well. So we're going to do a case for one of our listeners on Instagram at Zarard. Pretty sure you know who that is. And so it way back when in one of the episodes we spoke about hot coconut oil on the hair, and she sent me a post that said it's actually bad for your hair. Yeah.
Oh no.
So I need to look into that. I haven't actually done it in a long time. I mean, like probably like over a year, if not more.
Why would it be bad?
I can't. She sent me a post and it made sense at the time, but I just can't remember. I'm just reading here. Causes a buildup of oil on your hair and scalp. It was worse than that, though. It was worse.
Oh,
I think it might have been a hairdresser talking about it. I'm not sure, but I'm going to look into that again. And then also, I was in Boots recently and I was staring at this L'Oreal Elvive Wonder Water. Have you heard of that?
No.
And I was kind of just staring at it. It was on offer. It was like half price. And I was trying to I don't know, I just wasn't 100% sure if I wanted it or not. And then this girl came by and was like, with her friend, she was like, oh yeah, this is the stuff that I really want. This is what I really want. And then she took it and put it in her basket, and I was like, oh, I really want it. And so I got it, and then I brought it home. And then I looked up the reviews, which is such a rookie mistake. Don't look up reviews once you get home. Look them up when you're like in the shop or whatever. And yeah, so the reviews are like it's just like this. It's called like lamellar water. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it kind of like fills in all the little holes in your hair and like strengthens it. It's very scientific explanation, but so apparently it's like brilliant on the first few washes, but then as time goes by, people are like, my hair is worse than it was than when I started using it, and I am just scared shitless. So sitting on my shelf.
Is it meant to be an intermittent thing then?
What do you mean? You think people are using it too much or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe. I don't know. I'd almost love to get like hair extensions and like test it on them before I test it. Do you know what I mean? I just want to. I'm just gonna listen to the reviews. If loads of people are saying this wrecked my hair, I'm just not gonna use it.
Are you just do it a few times anyway?
No, I'm not gonna do it.
You're scared?
No,
How much was it?
I'm
Was
so
it
scared.
expensive?
No, it wasn't expensive. That's why I'm willing to throw it in the bin.
That's okay then.
Don't impulse buy. Don't be influenced by other girls freaking out in the shop. Read reviews. Okay, so today we're actually going to cover a case that Zarard from Instagram she has wanted this for a while. So sorry it took me a little while to get around to it. You probably know about this person, but I wonder how much you know about her, because I didn't actually know an awful lot. I just know the name Mary Bell.
Mary Bell. I seen you working on it in the drive.
Okay.
And I didn't read it.
Did you read? Okay.
I didn't read it. No.
Okay, but you know who that is?
Vaguely, I think.
Yeah, that's what
my
I was
favorite
kind of
murder.
Like.
Yeah, my favorite murder covered this one, but it was like years ago.
Oh, right. I don't know if I ever listened to it. Right. Or I've just forgotten.
Yeah, but I can't really remember anything.
Okay, good. So, Mary Bell, I'm just going to start with a little bit about her early life. So, her mother was a sex worker, and Mary was her mother's first child, and she had her when she was just 16 years old.
Oh,
so young.
Babies having babies.
Yeah. And the father is more or less unknown. And this is really sad, but there's a few independent accounts from different family members who, like what they're saying, they're all kind of corroborating each other in that they're saying that, well, they're strongly suggesting at least that the mother, Betty, tried to kill Mary on multiple occasions. And she tried to sort of make the deaths look like accidents. So on one occasion, I know. On one occasion in around 1960, Betty, the mother, dropped Mary from a first floor window. I mean, like, how is that an accident?
Oh my god!
It's a bit of a Michael Jackson moment.
That was what was making me think of.
What was she doing? First floor window though isn't too bad. First floor, but like still.
How old was the baby?
Oh, she was. I don't know I don't know what age she would have been. I think it was like the early years of Mary's life.
Oh, that's rough.
And then on another occasion, the mother plied Mary with sleeping pills. So just trying to kill her daughter. But even though the mother was just like clearly abusing the child and didn't want the child, then when her family members offered to take the child off her and to actually like take full custody of the daughter legally and everything, she would just decline. And I think the reason for that was because she had found a use for Mary. So it's going to get pretty dark.
Oh gosh.
Pretty quick, okay?
Oh gosh.
So yeah. So just a warning for listeners. So I'm not going to go into it too much or anything, but so the mother, Betty, she was, as I said, a sex worker, but it was also said she was a dominatrix sex worker. And it's alleged that she both allowed and encouraged several of her clients to sexually abuse her daughter in sadomasochistic sessions. And this started when Mary was just 5 years old.
Oh no.
5 years old. So it's freaking crazy. Yeah.
Right, I didn't know any of that.
No, me neither. Me neither.
That, like, oh my gosh. I don't think they included that in My Favorite Murder.
Right? Maybe not. Sorry, I don't feel like I can leave it out. I think it's very pertinent.
Gosh, no. Yeah. That's a huge chapter in a human's life. If that happened, like,
if it happened. I know it's so hard to know, but once you find out what happens later on, it kind of, you start to think, it all kind of adds up. So Mary Bell grew up in the Scotswood area of Newcastle, and this was an economically depressed area where domestic violence and criminal behaviour was commonplace. And as a result, Mary's bad behaviour, including attacks on other children at school, vandalism and theft, just didn't attract attention. This was just kind of, there was probably lots of kids kind of acting out like this.
Yeah.
But her bad behaviour did make many other children reluctant to socialise with her. So yeah, kind of sad that she was lonely. But she did have one friend of sorts, and this little girl was called Norma Joyce Bell. Now she's the same surname, but she's not actually related.
Okay.
A bit like Fermanagh with all the Maguires. But they're not related. So on the 25th of May 1968, the body of this is probably,
oh my gosh,
I'm just not even going to start warning you. I'm just going to say the whole thing is just,
you're not even easing us in, Therese.
This whole thing is just like, you're just not going to want to hear it, but I'm forcing you to hear it. So
here we go.
25th of May 1968, the body of 4-year-old Martin Brown is discovered by 3 children in the upstairs bedroom of a derelict house. He was on his back with his arms stretched above his head. Specks of blood and foam were around his mouth, but there was no signs of violence visible on his body. A local workman arrived at the scene and attempted CPR to no avail. And during his attempt at the CPR, Mary Bell and her little friend Norma appeared in the doorway. They were like peeking in to see what he was doing, but he shooed them away. And when he shooed them away, where they went to the little boy's auntie's house.
Oh,
and they told her, one of your sister's children has just had an accident. We think it's Martin, but we can't tell because there's blood all over him.
Oh, shit.
So could you imagine a couple of little girls coming up and telling you that? Pretty freaky. Yeah. So the following day, Dr. Bernard Knight conducted a post-mortem on the body of little Martin. And he was, again, unable to find any signs of violence on the body and thus unable to determine his death. But he was able to discount the investigators' theory that the child had maybe died of poisoning through ingesting tablets. He was able to rule that out.
Okay.
So just a bit of a mystery, really, as to how he died.
How did he die?
They just left it. What's that word?
Do we know now, or do we know now?
You'll know later.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll know later. So on Mary's 11th birthday, the 26th of May. Oh, take that out because there's no year. That's stupid. Anyway, it's the same year. Okay, it's the same year. We're still in 1968. Sorry. Okay. So on Mary's 11th birthday, 26th of May, she and Norma broke into and vandalised a local nursery.
Why?
I don't know. Newcastle probably was just an area where
there was really nothing to do.
Where is she? Scotswood. It was all this kind of like wasteland, it sounds like, and everything was derelict, and so I think they even treated like normal areas as if they could just trash them. Everything was, so they vandalized a local nursery. And the following day, the nursery staff discovered the break-in, and they noticed a lot of vandalism that had occurred inside. So what the girls had done was they'd left 4 separate notes which claimed responsibility for little Martin's murder. And one of the notes, I just picked out the creepiest one. Some of them were, I mean, they're young girls, so they're not very well written, but this one really just gives me goosebumps. So, and I think this is Mary wrote this one, is, I murder so that I may come back.
What?
Yeah, that's what the note said. I murder so that I may come back.
Wait, did she think the boy was going to come back to life? Or that she is going to come back to life?
I thought more her. I think it's like that she, like it's giving her some kind of life. I don't know.
I can come back? Like back from where? Or like, do you mean like... I
murder so that I may come back. Like, I don't... Is it because... Like, I don't really want to kind of assess her at this point, but like, probably get to that later. But like, is it that because of what happened to her as a child, she kind of has lost herself and she's trying to like bring back... You know, you bury yourself so deep. I don't know. I don't know. It's either really profound or just childish gibberish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes when kids say things, it can be like, whoa, you know, creepy. However, the police just dismissed this incident as a tasteless and childish prank. So, 2 days later, on the 29th of May, shortly before the funeral of little Martin, both Mary and Norma called upon the house of his mother. And they asked to see her son.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Wait, what?
They called to the house like, can we see Martin?
What?
These 2 little girls are so creepy. And when the mother replied that they couldn't see the son because he was deceased, Mary replied, oh, I know he's dead. I want to see him in his coffin.
Oh, shit.
And unfortunately, I don't know what the mother followed up with. I guess she just probably closed the door on them. I don't know. Or I doubt she brought them in to see. I don't think you would let a little 11-year-old in to see.
So he must have been in his coffin, like they knew he was. It was like the wake.
Yeah, probably.
That's well creepy. How old are they again?
Mary's 11, and I believe Norma is 13. Norma should really know better. But
I was going to say, like, but even like 11's old enough. I mean, like,
I know. Yeah, she's just turned 11. Yeah, it is old enough.
It is old enough to
not
understand.
Be creeping out a grieving mother.
Yeah, to be like respectful, and you don't want to go
I would think so. But I think we're going to get to it later, but it kind of comes back to like the actual intellectual age of the girls.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, but that's kind of disputed as well, though. So anyway,
everything.
Then on the 31st of July, again, we're still in 1968. 31st of July, a 3-year-old named Brian Ho, I hope I'm pronouncing his surname correct, was last seen by his parents in the street outside his house playing with one of his siblings, the family dog, and Mary and Norma.
Oh
no. So when...
Run away!
I know, don't play with those girls. When Brian did not return home later that afternoon, concerned relatives and neighbours searched the streets without success. At 11 p.m, a search party discovered Brian's body between 2 large concrete blocks in a waste ground near an old railroad track. Just so horrific. What a place to find a body. So the first policeman to arrive at the scene observed that a deliberate but feeble attempt had been made to conceal the body, which was covered in clumps of grass and weeds. Again, all of this is just so creepy.
It's very childish.
Yeah, the way it's just throwing a few things on top of the body. Several bruises and scratches were evident upon his neck, and a pair of broken scissors lay close to his feet. So the coroner would conclude that Brian had died of strangulation and that he had been deceased for up to 7.5 hours before the discovery of his body. The killer had evidently squeezed Brian's nostrils closed with one hand as they gripped his throat with the other.
Oh.
I mean, that's intense, right?
How old is Brian? 3?
Brian was a 3-year-old boy.
Oh my god.
So he's small.
Uh-huh.
So that's, I think, why they're able to do that.
I'm sorry. And you said he's between 2 concrete blocks. Do you mean like it's like one is on top of him, or like it's on either side?
Oh, I took it as just he's laying in between them. He's on the ground and there's 2 concrete blocks that are kind of obscuring his view.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like the concrete, I'd say those slabs are massive. It's probably, part of an old building or some industrial, it's just been left there. Numerous puncture wounds had been inflicted to the child's legs before death. And sections of his hair had been cut off from his head. And just a trigger warning here, this is really bad. His genitals had been partially mutilated, and a crude attempt had been made to carve the initial M into his stomach. Yeah. The relatively small amount of force used to murder the child led the coroner to conclude that the murderer was another child. So now they're on to it.
We've got a baby serial killer.
Yeah, pretty much. Could you imagine the coroner coming to the detectives and saying, "Okay, you're looking for a kid.
You're looking for a child."
Like what?
Oh gosh, I wonder how common this is.
I know, right? I read about a really interesting case in India. The youngest child murderer in the world. I think. Do you remember that?
That was that's on Netflix at the moment. I watched it the other day.
Is it?
Yeah. It's called. Well, I don't know if it's on your one. It's called A Big Little Murder.
No.
It was good. Oh god. Like there was like tears in my eyes like the whole way through.
He was like 7 or something like that?
He was like 6 or 7, yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid. But I remember, and spoiler alert, but I could be wrong. This could be wrong. But from the YouTube that I had listened to that covered it, it was saying that there's conspiracy theories that it was an actual adult that did the murders and they used the child as like a scapegoat. Yeah, I love how you're not confirming that. Just, because I want to watch the documentary.
The documentary, it seems because they have CCTV footage of a child, of another child, was in the bathroom at the same time. So it's sort of like, and the boy who is suspected, was like suffering from like, he was like very lonely and isolated. He had like depression and stuff like this here. And he used to bully young, small kids.
Okay.
So it's like...
It kind of all adds up. What I find so interesting about that case was that the tiny little village somewhere in India where they were didn't have any television. So if he did in fact commit the murders, that had to just come from within him. He's not copying anybody. He's not,
Murders?
Maybe we're talking about different.
Are we talking about 2 different cases?
Very, very possible.
Because mine wasn't it was in a private school, international private school.
Oh no, we're talking
and it was in a city.
This is in India though.
In India, yeah.
What a coincidence.
Wow.
Okay, very interested now. I'm going to go watch that.
Okay. I'm going to go look for your
evening sorted.
Okay.
We can swap.
Let's swap.
Alrighty.
Okay, let's bring the levity back down.
I know we're way too excited to watch these. Okay. So, the discovery of Brian's body sparked a large-scale manhunt. That should really be child hunt, but anyway.
But they didn't know.
They did, yeah. This is crazy. So over 100 detectives across Northumberland were assigned to the investigation, and more than 1,200 children were questioned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all the kids in the town?
It's freaking crazy. There must be a lot of kids. I'd say it's,
it's like all the kids in the area.
That's it, yeah. So two children were questioned. Two children were questioned by detectives on the 1st of August, and they were Mary and Norma Bell.
Uh-huh.
And witnesses had already informed investigators that they had seen Mary and Norma playing with Brian shortly before he was believed to have died.
Oh.
And in her initial interview, Norma seemed excitable, whereas Mary was more observant. So they noticed a difference in the girls. So although both girls were evasive and contradictory in their statements, they freely admitted to having played with Brian on the date of his death, but denied having seen him after lunchtime. And then once they were questioned the following day, Mary then stated she remembered seeing an 8-year-old local boy playing with Brian that afternoon, and that she had also seen him hitting Brian.
Oh.
So she just remembers this the next day,
Oh, yeah.
And then furthermore, Mary stated she remembered that the boy had been covered in grass and weeds, as if he had been rolling in a field. So I wonder, is she trying to connect him with the weeds that they threw on the boy? I'm not sure why she invented that detail.
Why did she invent it like the next day? Surely she knew she was going to be questioned by the police. Why? Why not just do it on the day? No,
I don't know.
Why is she doing it the next day?
So she also said that the little boy had a small pair of scissors.
Okay.
So she's given a lot away here.
That she knows a lot about the crime.
Yeah. And she said, I saw this boy trying to cut a cat's tail off with the scissors, but there was something wrong with the scissors. One leg was broken or bent. What? So she's getting into serious detail. And this was obviously self-incriminating.
Yeah.
And the detective chief inspector, James Dobson, pretty much, realised that Mary was the actual killer from this, as only the police knew about the broken scissors at the crime scene. In addition, the local boy that she had named was quickly questioned and discovered to have been at Newcastle International Airport at the time of the murder. Oh. And there was lots of witnesses. I mean, his family, different people in the town that knew him, seen him in the airport.
And there's probably, I know it's like the 60s, but I'm sure they
have but the airport's pretty official, passports, and there's a lot of records of you being there.
You couldn't be anywhere better.
It's a pretty good, I was thinking that. I was like,
Yeah, so you've got your passport, ID, there's cameras, you're checking things and hitting buttons.
Yeah, so he's totally ruled out now.
Oh, to you.
So, on the 4th of August, the parents of Norma Bell contacted police stating that their daughter wished to confess what she knew about the death of Brian. So DCI Dobson arrived at the family home and formally cautioned Norma, and then asked what she knew. So Norma told him that Mary had taken her to see Brian's body and had shown her how she strangled him. So she's kind of reenacted it for Norma, almost.
And she's
boasting.
Yeah. Or she's reliving it. Yeah.
Yeah, and reliving it, exactly. This is how I did it.
Yeah.
And she also said this, according to Norma, Mary said she enjoyed the strangulation.
Oh.
So Norma then led police to the crime scene. Obviously the police knew where the crime scene was, but this is Norma saying, I know where it is. And she revealed the location where Mary had hidden the razor blade.
Oh. Which they hadn't found.
I don't think they knew about the razor blade at that point. Okay. So A drawing Norma made of the wounds inflicted to the boy's abdomen precisely matched those described by the coroner. So it's that M. So obviously the M that she tried to inscribe on the boy, her scissors were broken, so I think she must have tried to use the razor blade when the scissors
God,
weren't
Mary,
working.
you sick freak.
It's just the worst. So Mary was visited at her home in the early hours of the 5th of August by police. On this occasion, she was notably defensive when confronted with the discrepancies of her previous statement, and she informed detectives, "You're trying to brainwash me. I will get a solicitor to get me out of this."
Oh.
And I just noted here, let's just remember, she's 11 years old.
Yeah, I don't think I knew what a solicitor was. I knew
right? I'm getting a solicitor to go there in your head, you know.
Yeah.
Where has she heard this kind of stuff? I mean, it's just so bizarre.
Well, if her mom's a sex worker, you know, maybe she's heard her mom say stuff like this.
Maybe. I'm just going to take a little sip of my Barry's tea.
Oh, me too.
So parched. Okay. So later the same day, Norma was questioned again. On this occasion, she made a full statement in which she admitted being present when Mary had actually strangled Brian.
Oh,
the
Norma.
story just keeps changing.
Norma.
Norma said that she just witnessed the reenaction. Now she's saying she was at the actual crime. So according to Norma, when the trio were alone, so Mary, Norma and Brian, Mary seemed to go all funny, Norma said. She said she was pushing the child into the grass and attempting to strangle him before stating to Norma, "My hands are getting thick, take over."
Thick?
And I don't know, tired, I guess. Her hands are getting, it's the strangulation is taking longer than she expected.
Yeah,
so she had...
it takes like half an hour or something. Maybe shorter for a child.
But then a 3-year-old, I mean...
Yeah.
Anyway,
but then they're children too. They don't have the strength to strangle.
She had then run from... So Norma then said she ran away from the scene, leaving Mary alone with Brian. Which, I mean, that's incriminating in itself. This 11-year-old girl who's you're pretty big at 11 is, can you imagine a 3-year-old? They're tiny. And she just runs away, leaving them like that. So a forensic examination of clothing owned by both girls revealed that grey fibres discovered upon Brian's body were a precise match to the woolen dress owned by Mary. And maroon fibres on the child's shoes, so Brian's shoes, were a precise match to a skirt owned by Norma. So both girls' fibres are on the child's body.
Oh, wow.
Wait for it. Furthermore, the same grey fibres, so the grey fibres are from a skirt that Mary owned. A grey woolen skirt almost sounds like a school skirt, doesn't it?
Yes.
Creepy as hell. So those same grey fibres were also found on the body of who?
The boy before.
Martin Brown. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Martin.
So here we are. It's all pretty clear now. On the 7th of August 1968, Mary Bell stood outside the Hoe household as Brian's coffin was brought out from the home. DCI Dobson stated, "Mary stood there laughing and rubbing her hands. I thought, my God, I've got to bring her in. She'll do another one." Could you imagine how creepy that is? Laughing and rubbing her hands?
Was she cackling?
It's like an evil villain?
Yeah, it's like the Wicked Witch of the West or something.
So bizarre.
Weird. It's sort of like she's playing, she's acting like the evil villain.
It's just such a archetype that she's definitely seen that somewhere, and
and it's sort of like she's removed herself from this world and she's taking on a persona,
something like that. I don't know. Well, you'd like to think that, and rather than the other option, which is this is just who she is. So you don't like to think of children like that, you know?
No.
So both girls were formally charged with the murder of Brian Ho at 8 p.m. that evening. Mm-hmm. In response to the charge, Mary replied, "That's all right by me."
What?
That's what she said.
Oh my God.
5 words.
That's all right by me.
Mm-hmm. That's all right by me.
Well, we didn't ask if it was all right by you.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
I know.
You're being charged.
Yeah. She's trying to be, I mean, she clearly is just, you know.
I know, she's
trying to put on a brave face, and she's very proud. Norma, however, burst into tears and proclaimed, I'll pay you back for this. So childish.
I'll pay you back.
Sorry, I never did it. It's, you know, it's like when a mother, you know, scolds her children and they'd say, I'll pay you back for this.
Oh my God.
But what they have done is so ridiculously serious, and she's not grasping it. It's very sad.
She's not.
In the presence of an independent witness, Mary prepared a written statement in which she admitted to being present when Brian Ho was murdered, but insisted that the murder had been committed by Norma.
Oh.
So, what a good friend Mary is. She's just putting it all on Norma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shortly after the arrest, both girls underwent a psychological evaluation, which, I mean, obviously needs to happen.
Of course, yeah.
And the results of these tests revealed Norma was intellectually delayed.
Okay.
Which I think it's fairly obvious at this point, you know.
Yeah.
She's older than Mary, but yet she's the submissive character, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, I'll get my own back.
Yeah.
It's like, you're 13 and these are like grown policemen.
I know. It's so sad. So yeah, she's 13, but I'm not sure exactly what age her actual intellectual age is, but basically the results said, look, she's the submissive character. She easily displays emotion, whereas Mary is bright, cunning, prone to sudden mood swings.
Oh.
And also that, you know, Mary was sort of willing to talk, although she rapidly became sullen, introspective and defensive in nature. So Mary's very kind of up and down.
Sounds like you're reading my personality traits.
Oh, right. Okay. Interesting. I give you a wide berth. Yeah, I know. It's the mood swings. I think we can all relate. So there were 4 different psychiatrists who examined Mary, because I think everyone kind of realized that she is the cunning one, so they kind of took a big interest in her, and they concluded that although not suffering from a mental disorder, she suffered from a psychopathic personality disorder.
Oh.
And I'd love to know what that is. Like, is it...
She's a psychopath.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, you can be born psychopath.
She suffered from a psychopathic personality disorder. So she's psychopath. She's... Okay. Mm-hmm. I was wondering what the official title was. You think it's psychopath? Yeah.
I think that is an official title, is it not?
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Okay. Just the way it said she suffered from a psychopathic personality. I read it wrong. I see how you're reading. Yeah, okay. So, that's her official diagnosis. And that's where we are going to leave off. And we're going to pick up...
No!
Sorry, I can't fit it all in. There's a lot goes on during the trial. Said. Oh, no.
Sorry,
Miriam, no.
Sorry, cut it out. It's not appropriate.
So we're going to leave off there and we're going to pick up next week. There's a lot that goes on during the trial. And also then we'll get into the latter part of Mary's life, which is quite interesting.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that was a pretty heavy one. Mm-hmm. Sorry about it.
Psycho Mary.
It's pretty intense. Something really creepy about little girls as well.
Yeah,
they're so innocent. They look so innocent.
Yeah, they look innocent, and she's like probably running around in like a skirt and pigtails or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, she was very cute. She had quite a little pretty, angelic looking face, you know.
Oh gosh, it's even creepier.
Yeah, it makes it so much worse.
Okay, good job, Trez. I like that one.
Okay,
excited for the rest. I didn't know half of those details.
Same.
Or else I had forgotten. But,
I know. Yeah. It'd be nice to forget them again because obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll chat you next week, guys. Slán Abhaile.
Bye-bye.
On the 7th of August, 1968, Mary Bell stood outside the whole household of Brian's coffin. Oh, sorry, I'll start that again. On the 7th of August, 1968, Mary Bell stood outside the household. Oh, sorry, I'm going to start that. I wrote that really weird.
Household. Household.
It's because it's like she stood outside the whole household.
Whole household. Whole household.
The whole household. Okay, I'm going to need to get past it. Right, okay, 1 second. Me Time and Murder would like to thank and acknowledge our sources that make this podcast possible. References can be found on our Instagram page.
Warning: Me Time and Murder is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Oh, for God's sake, here
Dancing
it goes.
around him, reciting poetry. Yes.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
No. Why? Oh, well, big surprise.
Oh God. Dead on the bathroom floor.
Did it? Okay. Oh. All right. So, Miriam.
Hang on a second.
What are you rustling?
I have like my sanitary pads are sitting on the desk and I'm hiding them.
Lovely.
In the drawer. Okay. Ready.
All right. Miriam, what are you drinking today?
Today, Trez, I am drinking. It's a passion fruit tea from. I love passion fruit tea. Mm-hmm. Like it's good hot and it's good cold. Like you know, I love like teas like that. It's from Touch Organic white tea passion fruit, and it's in a little pyramid bag, so it's so cute.
Nice.
It smells great.
Kind of sounds like a condom brand. Touch Organic. You know, like a sexual pleasure line.
Yeah,
Touch.
it's Touch Organic.
Direct touch, you know.
Latex free.
Yeah, passion fruit flavoured.
Ah!
So that's where my mind's going today. I'm sure it's very tasty. I love passion fruit. I don't think you could. I would struggle to find passion fruit tea here.
Really?
I would. Yeah.
Fruity teas are very popular over here.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You can even get it in like noodle restaurants and dumpling restaurants. Just
right.
Yeah. They also have like
so cool.
One that's nice over here is like in all the Vietnamese restaurants. It must be like a Vietnamese thing. Is watercress tea.
Never heard of that.
It is so good.
Is it?
Yeah, watercress, and they put like honey in it.
But okay.
Yeah, it's good.
I just think of watercress on my salad or on my egg mayo sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next time, put it in some hot water.
put it in the tea. I never think to do that.
It's tasty.
Okay.
What about you? What are you drinking?
I am having a Pukka Revitalize.
You've changed it up.
I have changed it up. I do love this one. So it's a warming burst of cinnamon, cardamom, and ginger. So a lot of my favourite things.
Whenever I was a kid, I hated ginger, but now I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I hear it. I thought it was really spicy. It used to burn my tongue.
It that's what I love about it. The peppery kind of. Yeah. I love ginger snaps. We've definitely had this conversation before.
Ginger snaps.
You don't see them that often. No.
Daddy loves them too.
They have to be really fresh though. You ever had one that's a few days old?
Oh no, they have to be crunchy.
The packet open. Yeah, the worst. Oh, You ever be in someone's house and they serve you a biscuit and it's not fresh? I sound like
soft.
such a snob. But you know what I'm talking about. It's that biscuit that the packet has been open and they've gone soft. Oh, it's the worst. I can't.
It is. You can put biscuits in the fridge.
I would never think to do that. I would think that would make them go.
It doesn't.
Would they not absorb the moisture in the fridge?
No. What moisture in the fridge?
Well, do you know when
why is your fridge wet?
You're revealing my poor housekeeping. No, well, I mean, it's cold. You know, it's like almost condensation is cold. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought that you could do that. I'm gonna experiment now.
I put my crackers in the fridge.
Really?
Yeah, and they don't go off. And they stay fresh and crispy. Yeah.
Are you being serious?
Swear to God.
God, you learned something new.
Well, it can be quite humid over here. So, we even put our Cheetos in the fridge trays.
Miriam, you are blowing my mind. I keep all my dry goods in. We have beside our fridge, there's a kind of a boiler room that kind of has a shelf in it, and we keep all, because it's very warm beside the boiler, so it dries everything out. So we keep all our dried stuff in there.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
It is handy. It is handy. Yeah.
No, right. We put our Cheetos, biscuits,
that blows
crackers.
My mind.
Yeah,
Cheetos in the fridge.
But so if you have Cheetos and you roll them up and you sellotape it or put an elastic band around it and in the cupboard, after a few days they will still be a little bit stale. A little bit of air does get to them. But if you put them in the fridge, they don't even need to be tightly sealed.
That's bonkers. I've been throwing out so many crisps. Now I'm going to eat them all, and that's not good for me.
It is weird that they're cold.
But yeah, I was going to say. I guess
the Cheetos are freezing, but they're still crispy.
Weird. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Alrighty. But it's not going to be as happy as that from here on out, because
that's all the lulls.
We've had our Cheeto chat now, and we're gonna get back in picking up on the Mary Bell story. We're at the trial now, so it's. Oh, do you want to recap from last week on what?
Yeah,
happened? Can you remember, or do you want me to recap for you?
Let me see if I can do it. I believe Mary Bell. Mary is 13. Mary is 11. Her friend is it Naomi? Norma. Norma is 13, and they've been sort of on a little crusade, killing the local neighborhood boys, children.
Yeah.
First they killed
really young boys.
First they killed Martin, and he was 5.
Martin was 4.
4. And they were very bizarre. They wanted to see the dead body and stuff. And then they killed. Oh, I forget James.
Brian, and he was 3.
Yeah. And with the second murder, they mutilated the body quite badly, and the cops could tell it was children, and they were able to track down Mary and Norma, and they did a psych test, and Mary showed a personality trait of a psychopath, while Norma had intellectual development delay. And she was, they gathered that Norma was a follower, and this was all instigated by Mary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. That's usually how it plays out. There is a leader and a follower.
True.
Sadly.
True.
So that brings us up to the trial for the actual murders, and this happened on the 5th of December 1968. Both girls pleaded not guilty. And against protests from both defence counsels, on the first day of the trial, Judge Cusack waived the defendants' rights to anonymity on account of their age. As such, the media were allowed to publicise the names, ages and photographs of both girls.
What?
Yeah.
They're like, they're children.
Mental. They are children.
Oh, the 60s.
Mm-hmm. So, blew my mind. Totally blew my mind. What are you doing, Judge? I don't know. I'd say he was angry, but you gotta play by the rules anyway.
Yeah.
So, on the 5th day of the trial, Norma testified in her own defence.
What?
I know. The judge is crazy and the lawyers are crazy. Why are you letting these children get up on the stand?
Children are not allowed to represent themselves. Right? They're not even allowed to vote. How can they like represent themselves in a murder trial? And she got up
and she testified on the stand.
And we know that Norma has developmental delay.
Yes,
does she even understand?
That's another layer. Yeah.
Like,
this girl needs to be protected.
Yeah, man.
And they're like, look, you get there, Norma, tell us your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So Norma denied any culpability in the actual murder of either child, but admitted under cross-examination to having known Mary's penchant for violence and her history of attacking children, and that the two had discussed attacking and killing small children of both genders. So they were going to move on to girls, basically.
Oh, they wanted to try a girl.
Questioned by Rudolph Lyons as to whether Mary had demonstrated to her how children could be killed, Norma nodded. She then concluded that as Mary had begun to attack and strangle Brian, she had failed to alert a group of boys playing in the vicinity, stating that she had failed to do so as she did not know what was going to happen in the first place. She had stopped hurting him for a bit. So that's Mary. She said Mary had stopped hurting him for a bit when the boys were near. Questioned as to her own role in the murder, Norma stated that she had never touched the child. So I think there's a bit of guilt going on because there was a group of boys and she could have alerted them.
Yes,
but she's sort of saying she didn't know what was going to happen.
But this is the second time.
She has this. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
I don't know if you can really play that card a second time.
That's true. So following the conclusion of Norma's testimony on the 12th of December, Mary also testified in her own defence. So Mary's getting up there. Jesus crazy Christ. Old Mary. So, could you imagine these kids getting up?
Jesus.
Oh my God. So, wait for this.
I'm waiting.
Her testimony lasted for almost 4 hours.
What?
Mm-hmm. Concluding on the 13th of December, and was briefly adjourned on one occasion when she began crying in a policewoman's arms. She denied her co-defendant's accusations, so Norma's accusations, insisting that although she had observed the body of Martin, she herself had never harmed the child, and that she and Norma had later asked the boy's mother to view his body as the two were daring each other and did not want to be a chicken. So she's kind of saying we just found the body and then we were daring each other to kind of inform the mother.
What?
Which, again, doesn't make you look good.
No.
So Mary also conceded that she divulged to others about her knowledge of Martin's death so that she could get Norma to be put away.
Oh.
So, I don't know. She's just trying to put it all on Norma. So, questions with regards to the death of Brian. Mary claimed that Norma had been the individual who had strangled the child as she herself was just standing and looking. I couldn't move. It was as if some glue was pulling us down.
Oh.
Mary then alleged Norma had encouraged Brian to lie down as if he wanted some sweets.
Oh my gosh.
It's awful. Telling him, so this is Mary saying that Norma did all of this. So Mary saying Norma told Brian, you've got to lie down for the lady to come with the sweets, before proceeding to strangle him with her bare hands as she herself unsuccessfully attempted to prevent the attack. So apparently Norma is the mastermind here, and Mary's trying to stop it, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Mary further stated she could determine the level of force Norma had exhibited because her fingertips and nails were going white, she said.
Oh.
And again, Mary conceded that she had failed to inform authorities of her knowledge of Norma's actions out of both fear and a misguided sense of loyalty.
Oh.
So creepy.
Yeah.
That Mary is going into detail about how the fingertips and the nails go white.
Yeah. Because she's looking at her own. Like, we know Mary did
she's talking about what happened to her own hands. But there's something in that level of like detail and description that makes me think there's something linked to perhaps what happened to her as a child when she was abused. Mm-hmm. There's something in that strangulation, the fingertips, that's a memory for her, and she's playing it out, and it's I think there's something in that. So Norma's mother then testified that several months prior to the murder of Brian, she and her husband had discovered Mary attempting to strangle Norma's younger sister, and that she only released her grip on their daughter's throat after sorry, I should not laugh at this. After her husband had punched Mary in the shoulder.
What?
Imagine a full-grown man having to do that. Punch a kid in the shoulder. A little girl, especially.
I thought you were going to say punch in the face. Like,
that would be worse.
Like, can you imagine a full-grown man? Like, poof.
There's something about it's still funny with the shoulder. It's such a bizarre situation.
Yeah.
That poor man had to do that.
No, if you try to strangle my daughter...
Oh, yeah. I will punch you in the shoulder.
I will punch you in the face. Like, I don't care the age. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
No. The thing is that, like, Mary's 11. I mean, like, that is old enough to know murder is wrong. Like, strangling someone is wrong.
She's not just fighting or playing around.
And obviously he didn't just, like, walk in and punch her. It was like, Mary, stop it. Mary, let go.
That's what I find funny about the situation, is that, like, he would have been like, stop it, Mary. Mary, stop it. Stop it. And then it's like, that realisation, I'm going to have to punch this child.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
So bonkers.
No, fair fucks to him. He did what he had to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, a child psychiatrist named Ian Fraser then testified that Norma's mental age was 8 years and 10 months. So now we know. So she's 13, but mentally she's 8 years and 10 months. I know, it's very precise, isn't it? 8 years and 10 months. So although her capacity of knowing right from wrong was limited, she was capable of appreciating the criminality of the acts she was accused of committing.
Of course, like a 9-year-old would know the gravity as well.
They know when they're being bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the defense for Mary, they used her, her background, her sort of upbringing, her personality disorder. They used these in her defense, and they also used the example of the childish notes that she had left in the classroom that time when they broke into the nursery. Ugh. They used the notes to kind of highlight how this was all sort of just, for attention. They weren't really understanding the gravity. It was just children acting out, wanting attention. Mary was supposed to be known as a bit of a show-off. She wanted attention. I mean, yeah, maybe, but that's not going to cut it. I don't know. I find that a very weak argument. I don't know. Okay, this is kind of... Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this.
What?
So this is the conviction now. So Mary was cleared of murder.
What?
Yeah. But she was convicted of the manslaughter of both boys on the grounds of diminished responsibility.
Does she have an intellectual disability?
No, not that I believe.
Okay.
Personality disorder, rough upbringing, all of that. And then Norma was acquitted of all charges, and that's most likely because of her disability, her intellectual disability.
Yeah, and
I would presume.
And that, like, you know, they know it was Mary who did all the things.
Yeah, this is it.
And she was sort of like a bystander.
If Mary had not have been in the picture, Norma would not have been getting up to this at all. Exactly. I don't think so.
I agree.
So upon hearing the jury's verdicts, Norma clapped her hands in excitement, which again just shows,
she clapped her hands.
That's such a childlike thing to do, isn't it? She clapped her hands in excitement. Oh, God.
She does not seem to understand the gravity.
I don't think she does. She at 8 years old, you think maybe people would, but I don't know. I mean, it was a different time as well. I don't know. So Mary burst into tears, and her mother and grandmother also wept. Obviously horrific for both of them.
Yeah.
So passing sentence, Judge Cusack described Belle as a dangerous individual, adding that she posed a very grave risk to other children and that steps must be taken to protect the public from her.
Ooh.
She was sentenced to be detained at Her Majesty's pleasure in an indefinite sentence of imprisonment.
Wait, what? She got
an indefinite sentence of imprisonment.
So
I can't say that. Imprisonment. So funny.
Funny, yeah. That's a lot. That's a big sentence for a little girl.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just kind of like, look, we're going to monitor you and we're going to see. Kind of. But I mean, it's pretty scary to be like, whoa. So Mary was initially detained in a Dramand home. What does that mean?
Dramand? Must be the place.
I don't know what that means. It must be a place. Apologies for that. So Belle was initially detained in a home before being transferred to a young offenders institution where she was the only female among approximately 24 inmates.
Ooh.
And we're going to get really sad and really dark again.
No.
Mary would later claim to have been sexually abused by both a member of staff and several inmates while incarcerated at this facility.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. Claiming that the sexual abuse began when she was just aged 13.
So as soon as she was in there?
Yeah, probably more or less, yeah. In June 1976, Mary was transferred to Moor Court Open Prison, where she undertook a secretarial course.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called an open prison, okay?
Oh, is that the ones where you can like come and go?
I'm not really sure. I kind of interpreted this as sort of a closed community type situation.
Uh-huh.
Do you know these little...
I thought open prison was you can like go about, like you have a job.
Yeah, she has a job, but I mean, I don't know that she can just leave the premises.
I think you can.
An open prison. Yeah, they're not locked up in prison cells. But, I mean, can you go home to your mum and dad is the question, really, isn't it, that we want to know?
I don't think so.
I mean, you're bound to sleep on the premises.
I think you're allowed to, like, go to work or go to uni and come back sort of thing.
Prisoners are free to go out of the prison after first roll call and have to return before the allotted second roll call. The jail does not confine them completely, but requires them to earn their living to support their families living with them inside the jail. What?
Wait, what? Families can live in the jail?
This is reminding me of back in ye olde days.
This is
where people were born inside prisons. Oh. And they obviously were able to like go out about their business and come back in. I don't know. I'm not very clear on this.
This is weird.
I don't think we're going to find an answer for this anytime soon.
Okay, yeah. Like, we went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will I just start that sentence again?
Yeah.
I feel that's probably boring for people, so they can look it up themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody tell us what is an open prison, and do you go to open prison?
Oh, yeah. In June 1976, Belle was transferred to Moor Court Open Prison, where she undertook a secretarial course. 15 months later, in September 1977, Mary again made national headlines when she and another inmate, Annette Priest, briefly escaped from this open prison. Oh my God, if I just had a read on to the next sentence, we could have had our answer as to
what an open prison is. You already did the research.
So, both escapees spent several days in the company of 2 young men in Blackpool. In the company. I love that phrase. So, they visited amusements and they slept in various local hotels. And while out and about, Mary used the alias Mary Robinson. I don't know. It's a bit close to her real name, like.
Mrs. Robinson.
I know. I was thinking of that as well. And then the 2 escapees parted company. Mary was arrested at the Derbyshire home of one of the men, Clive Shirtcliffe.
Shirtcliffe?
Like such a fake name.
That is
I swear to God, it says Shirtcliffe.
Shirtcliffe. It sounds like Heathcliff. Shirtcliffe.
So this arrest happened on the 13th of September. And by this stage, Mary had dyed her hair blonde.
Yes,
so she was a brunette before. This was obviously an attempt to disguise her identity. And she was returned to custody that evening. And the other lady was arrested in Leeds days later. Mary's penalty for escaping was a loss of prison privileges for 28 days. Not sure how great those privileges would have been, but
yeah, like no apple for dessert.
Oh no,
yeah.
I say she was probably like worth it.
Oh yeah, she was playing games, staying in hotels with boys,
going to amusements.
Oh yeah.
In June 1979, the Home Office announced their decision to transfer Mary to HM Prison. I cannot say the word prison.
Why can't you say prison? Prison.
I cannot
prison.
Say it. So they transferred Mary to HM Prison, Askham Grange. That is such a long name. HM Prison, Askham Grange.
HM. Doesn't HM stand for His Majesty's or Her Majesty's?
Oh, Her Majesty's.
Yeah, like
Her Majesty's Prison, Askham. I might be pronouncing Askham wrong as well. This was an open category prison in the village of Askham Richard. In efforts to prepare Mary for her eventual release into society, which was planned for the following year. So that's why she's been transferred to this location. This is going to prepare her to be released. So beginning in November 1979, Mary worked again as a secretary and then as a waitress at a cafe in York's Minster under supervision guidelines in effort to prepare her for eventual release. So Mary was released from this location at the age of 23, having served almost 11 and a half years in custody. She was granted anonymity, including a new name, allowing her to start a new life elsewhere in the country under an assumed identity. Upon her release, a spokesman is quoted as saying, "Mary wishes to be given a chance to live a normal life and to be left alone. I want to be alone." 4 years. Sorry, do you want to react to that? Because it's pretty... I mean, you probably knew, though, that she was released.
Oh, yeah, I knew she was released. Yeah. But... Wait, so how long was she in prison total?
11 and a half years.
That's a long time, you know?
Yeah. I guess it's like nearly the same length of her life as when she went in. Do you know what I mean? So half of her life has been in prison. And
I'm sure she received a lot of therapy to deal with her own childhood trauma.
I would hope so.
And then, you know, as well, of course, of what she did. I mean, like... Is she still a psychopath, or like I don't know if you can cure that.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Or do you just be a psychopath on your very best behaviour?
Yeah, you just try not to offend.
4 years later, after her release from custody, on the 25th of May 1984, Mary gave birth to a daughter. and this would be her only child. And her daughter actually knew nothing of her mother's past until 1998, when reporters discovered Mary's then current location in a resort town in southern England where they had been living for approximately 18 months. This media revelation forced Mary and her 14-year-old daughter to leave their home and be driven to a safe house by undercover officers.
Oh.
And then both the mother and daughter were later relocated to another part of the UK.
Oh, I feel bad for the daughter.
Same. Could you imagine at 14? Oh, up we get, we have to leave. You know, you've got friends at that point. You're going to school.
And your mom is a murderer? A child murderer?
Like, why are we leaving, Mum? I think at that point she had to tell her. Oh, God. That's obviously what happened.
And 14 is so young to find out all this stuff about a parent.
Yeah, it's maybe a little bit too young to find out. Yeah. Mary allegedly returned to her hometown on several occasions in the years following her release. And she's actually alleged to have lived here for a time.
Where?
Which is kind of bonkers. She actually went back to where it all happened.
What? No,
and lived there for a while.
Bad idea.
Such a bad idea.
Avoid at all costs.
People can kind of recognize you after you grow up.
Yeah.
They can. Yeah. They can, you know. Yeah. The right to anonymity granted to Mary's daughter following her birth was originally only extended until she reached the age of 18. However, on the 21st of May 2003, Mary won a High Court battle to have her own anonymity and that of her daughters extended for life.
Oh.
And this order was approved by Dame Elizabeth Butler Sloss. What is up with these names?
Come on, England.
Butler Sloss. My God. And this person's a dame, so she's probably done really great things, but that is quite the name. She was later updated. This ruling was later updated to include Belle's granddaughter then.
Okay.
So, I wonder if they're just going to keep that going.
Forever and ever?
Because they keep, yeah.
The Bells just don't exist.
When do you stop? I don't know. So the order also prohibits the divulging of any aspects of their lives which may identify them. And in 1998, Mary collaborated. I didn't know about this. She collaborated with author, another hard name, Gita Serini, to provide an account of her life before and after her crimes for Serini's 1998 book called Cries Unheard, The Story of Mary Bell.
Oh.
And within this book, Bell details the abuse she suffered as a child at the hands of her sex worker mother and several of her clients. Mary's whereabouts are currently unknown and remain protected by the 2003 High Court order. According to Gita Serini, the author, Mary does not claim she was wrongly convicted, but freely admits the abuse she suffered as a child is no excuse for her strangling her two victims. So
it looks like she was reformed.
That's the sense I'm getting. I didn't know that she she didn't write the book, but she provided details for the book.
Yeah.
And that is the end.
So
she's out there.
She's out there.
She could be your neighbour.
Not my neighbour. I don't think she's...
No, not your neighbour.
No, she's in Hong Kong.
Not your neighbour.
Yeah, those poor boys.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Child killers are the worst.
And it was like, also like mutilated the children as well.
Yeah, it was like the darkness of it. It wasn't just, I don't know what I'm doing. I had my hands on his throat for too long. You know, I was play acting, you know. Because kids can see violent movies that they probably shouldn't see, and they might recreate it, but...
They reenact it, yeah. Well, like, because you did say that there's speculation, or it's known that her mom was a BDSM sex worker.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm
because
not sure.
And if she was exposed to that, if Mary was exposed to that, you know, like she would have seen, and maybe like people strangled her, and she was told to strangle other people. Maybe she's seen it in. It's possible she's seen it in porn, and it became very normalized, and she tried to normalize it by doing it to a child. Like, you know, she wanted to be in control. You know, like gain back
I think
power.
so too. This is her wrath. She's unleashing her wrath upon others.
Because bigger people did it to her, so she wants to do it to somebody.
That's what I think.
She wants to be the bigger person.
Those boys are so small, 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah,
I mean,
tiny.
Yeah, she wanted to be in control.
Oh God! Oh God! Don't have babies.
That's not the solution.
Oh, just everybody go out and buy chihuahuas. Oh God, like imagine if your child was murdered in such a heinous way. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
and then imagine
you never get over that.
That your child,
in a million years.
And then your child, imagine if you had a child that was a murderer as well. Like what?
I know, but see, I'm not saying it's always the parents' fault, but in this case, definitely she has a big role. The mother,
of course.
You know,
yes.
These things don't. These things are not normal. Thank God. These don't usually happen.
Yes, thank God.
Slán Bhile.
Bye. Rate and review and subscribe and 5 stars. I'm so
very
bad.
Eloquently put there.
I always
it's like you were running out of time.
I always forget.
Rate and review, 5 star, subscribe. Well, that really does sum it up.
Yeah.
Me Time and Murder would like to thank and acknowledge our sources that make this podcast possible. References can be found on our Instagram page.